But first, I want to go back to the idea of human rights and extreme poverty, and this connection you draw between the two, which Pope Francis has also drawn. He has said that economic rights, that the rights to health care and education should be considered in the umbrella of human rights. That hasn't traditionally been the case, has it? And it doesn't seem to be accepted widely in the U.S. that social and economic rights should be under that umbrella. How do you make that case?
You know, it's a very bizarre background, to be honest. First of all, the international definition of human rights absolutely includes the full array of what we call economic and social human rights. And so in virtually any other country that I visit, there's no debate. There's a right to healthcare. There's a right to education. There's a right to food. Not a debate. In the United States, suddenly it's different. But the great irony here is that though the economic rights that are in what we call the Universal Declaration of Human Rights came from where?
The U.S.?
Franklin Delano Roosevelt yes. Proposed in 1943 a second Bill of Rights for the U.S. The rights that he formulated then are basically identical to the rights that were then put into the Universal Declaration. But the United States parted ways as soon as the Cold War began. So in the late 1940s, instead of being prepared to support both sets of human rights, the United States started to distinguish itself from the communists by saying, we're different. Those guys want socialism, we want freedom. And freedom was suddenly detached from the economic conditions which are, in fact, indispensable for real freedom. So today the United States is really alone internationally in insisting that the only real human rights are civil and political rights. Of course, I think Pope Francis is right, but I think the whole international legal framework is right, and that to think that you can enjoy these other civil and political rights if you don't enjoy access to healthcare, for example, is illusory. If we don't have enough to eat, if we can't deal with basic illnesses, you can't do all the other things. You can't work, you can't vote, you can't participate freely in the society. They all go together.
Do you think that there is more momentum building within the U.S. To view things that way in the places that you were? Did you talk to people that were living in deep poverty about how they should approach their plight as human rights issues?
I think there's still quite a lot of reluctance because, I mean, we saw this in the healthcare debate, that you had occasional references by President Obama. You had people like Senator Bernie Sanders and a few others talking about a right to health care. And you've seen placards out there saying health is a right. But for the most part, the dominant elites in the country reject that notion. So they're not yet prepared to proceed as though these are things that have to be secured as of right for all Americans. The problem, of course, is that given recent developments, given the December 2017 tax reform, given the dramatic changes in welfare, in Medicare, Medicaid, that are certainly on the agenda for 2018, what we're going to see is a huge increase in inequality, but particularly those who are in the bottom 20%, who rely to a significant extent on food stamps, on Medicaid, on child health provisions and so on, will see their standard of living tumbling even further. And that's going to, I think, provoke a pretty major debate within American society.